A very good evening. You're watching India Today Go Live on social media. I'm Nabila Jamal, as always, bringing you the roundup of the day's news. Let me start with the COVID-19 surge, considering it's a grim milestone that we've reached. India has now surpassed 1,03,000 cases, which was on April 4th, to today, April 6th. We're surpassing 1,15,000 cases in a single day. This has been the highest number ever since the pandemic began, and that's why it's worrisome. Despite the vaccination drive that's now underway, we're looking at COVID positive cases on the rise. In fact, rapid rise, if I could say, and this is what the experts are now calling a second wave that's gripped India. Many states have gone into different kinds of curbs and lockdowns. I'm going to mention a few here. We're looking at Punjab, that's already announced a night curfew. Delhi has also announced a night curfew, which means that for Punjab it's 9 p.m. onwards, Delhi 10 p.m. onwards, no activity, all establishments will be closed. A complete night curfew until 5 a.m. Until 5 a.m. in Punjab, 6 a.m. in Delhi. Now, we're looking at, of course, in Punjab as well, cap on gatherings, any kind of political gatherings, funerals, weddings, not more than 100 people outdoors, not more than 50 indoors, funerals only 20 people, establishments, whatever's private functioning will be with 50% capacity, only any private offices, public offices, government offices also we're looking at 50% capacity only should be functioning there. We're looking at Maharashtra as well. We're looking at a serious surge in Maharashtra. 55,000 cases reported in a single day in just the last 24 hours. So Maharashtra is really contributing to close to 60% of the country's caseload, with active cases now in Maharashtra that's already breached 4,70,000 cases. Maharashtra has also reported 297 deaths in the last 24 hours. We're looking at so far about 740 buildings in Mumbai city that's been sealed, new buildings that's been sealed and those areas declared as containment zones. Here we're looking at several other restrictions there. Of course, no restaurants allowed to function, only takeaways, all public places will be shut, no swimming pools, of course, no gyms, no salons. In Maharashtra, I'm saying, in Maharashtra entirely, we're looking at some serious curbs that are currently in place. A quick word on Bengaluru. Just now, the news broke that Bengaluru now, Section 144 has been imposed. It will be imposed, I believe, from this evening or tomorrow. Section 144 will be imposed. You can't move in groups around the city. We're looking at a spike in cases in Bengaluru as well. Of course, they prohibited swimming pools now completely. Gyms also, which they allowed to open up, now will be functioning only with 50% capacity. Apart from that, we're looking at Raipur. Raipur now a complete lockdown from the 9th to the 19th. April 9th to April 19th. We're going to see a complete lockdown in Raipur. So no movement at all. This is in fact the first city in India that's now gone into a complete lockdown post this pandemic. After the restrictions were eased, now Raipur has gone into a complete lockdown. Now, we're looking at fears of COVID surge also impacting students across. CBSE students are now very worried about their exams. Families, parents are really pushing for CBSE examination to now, instead of in-person exams, for it to be turned online. The government doesn't seem like it's agreeing to this. There's a lot of back and forth. A lot of parents and families now particularly are pressing for the ministry to give some leeway and allow students to take online examination. But activists there claim that the government so far in the last 1 year have not come out with a smart mechanism or an alternative to in-person examination for CBSE board. They're still saying that 10 standard exams can definitely be postponed. 12 standard exams are now necessary for college admissions of next year and whatnot. So that fight and tussle is still on, with a lot of the pressure now on the government to push CBSE exams to online. Instead of in person, make it online. We're looking at some serious rise in cases. At a time like this, India is now supplying vaccines to several countries abroad. Over close to 80 countries that India is currently exporting vaccines to. Many of the countries are getting it for free. Many of the lower income countries are getting it for free. India has given out a helping hand. And many of them are also commercial deals. We're getting paid for the vaccines that we're giving to those countries. Now, this is amazing because India is looked at as a friendly neighbor, and we've lived up to that image. Undoubtedly, the Modi government has really gone all out to help the neighboring nations. while it is necessary at a time like this, Indians also need the vaccine at the same time. We have a huge population, the second largest in the world. What about our own citizens? The government says on one hand that we're going to go stage by stage, and right now the priority groups need to be given, which is above all those above the age of 45. But the opposition leaders now are politicizing this now, are saying at a time when cases are rising with such a pace, Indians now need to be prioritized first, and all age groups. Opposition is pushing for everybody above the age of 25 to be getting the vaccine with immediate effect, not to be delaying anymore. Aam Aadmi Party, just today, a little earlier today, protested right outside the BJP office in Delhi, condemning the exports of vaccines of India, Indian exports of vaccine exports. The Aam Aadmi Party, they're condemning it, saying that this is a time of the hour that Indians need to be prioritized and we need to be given the vaccine first. And Congress MP Rahul Gandhi joins the chorus here. He's attacked the centre in a tweet there, ridiculing the debate between need for a vaccine and want for a vaccine, and saying that every Indian deserves a chance to live a life and safe. And he says he and of course other opposition parties like Arvind Kejriwal, the leader there, Arvind Kejriwal, and even now Priyanka Chaturvedi from the Shiv Sena has also written an open letter asking for everybody above the age of 25 to be vaccinated. Remember, United States, Joe Biden, the president, has already opened up vaccine. He's just announced, not opened up as yet, he's just announced in another week's time, all of them above the age of 19 or 21 are going to be getting the vaccine. All adults now of any age group will be getting the vaccine from next week. That's what we hear coming in from the United States. So this is what opposition party demands even for India, that now is the time when cases are going up, please give the vaccine for everyone, all age groups, except for kids of course. Now let me quickly cut across to Maharashtra. This whole controversy around the Sachin Vaze, the top tainted cop, and the top former police commissioner Param Bir Singh, it's now getting only murkier because a new report now, first of all, Sachin Vaze's custody, NIA custody, has been extended to till the 9th of April. Now let me give you some big news that's come in. India Today has accessed a handwritten statement of Sachin Vaze to the NIA, and in this statement Sachin Vaze claims that Anil Deshmukh asked Sachin Vaze to pay him 2 crore rupees if at all he does not want to get suspended and or he wants to remain in office. Now in this statement Sachin Vaze says that in fact Pawar, Sharad Pawar, NCP chief, wanted Sachin Vaze suspended from the department. And Anil Deshmukh, according to Sachin Vaze in that letter, he says, Anil Deshmukh convinced me that he will convince Sharad Pawar to ensure that convince him that I will stay and I will remain in the police department. And for me to convince him, for Anil Deshmukh to convince him, Sachin Vaze had to pay him 2 crore rupees. This is what he claims in this written statement to the NIA. And it's a huge allegation considering that Param Bir Singh, the top cop, is also accused that Anil Deshmukh is corrupt. Because not just that, Sachin Vaze in this letter also goes on to say that Anil Deshmukh asked Sachin Vaze to extort money from pubs, bars and restaurants to the tune of 3 to 3.5 lakh rupees each, from each of the 1,660 pubs, bars and restaurants across Mumbai, Maharashtra. He had to extract money from them at least to the tune of 3.5 lakh rupees each month. This almost corroborates with whatever Param Bir Singh has put forth in a letter to Uddhav Thackeray, where he's accusing Anil Deshmukh of extorting 100 crore rupees every month from pubs, bars and restaurants. And what Param Bir Singh had written in his letter to Uddhav Thackeray, which now the CBI is investigating into it, High Court ordered for the preliminary investigation there. Now it appears that India Today has accessed that note that Sachin Vaze has written to the NIA. It's a statement that in that statement he's written to the NIA that yes, Anil Deshmukh asked him to extort money. So this is huge. Now it remains to be seen what step will the NIA take. Now there's a lot more to this, because Maharashtra government is also conducting an internal inquiry into this matter. Now the question is, did Mumbai top cop, former top cop Param Bir Singh really play a key role in actually bringing back Sachin Vaze into the police department despite him being suspended for 16 years? Did Param Bir Singh give him a plum post within the police department? In fact, even though Sachin Vaze was a junior cop, he shunned aside 2 senior police officers and inducted Sachin Vaze as the Crime Intelligence Unit Chief. Why was Sachin Vaze favored by Param Bir Singh? This is a question that's been asked, and now we're asking this question because an internal inquiry, which was headed by Hemant, who's now the top cop of Mumbai, in fact, he has given this report to Uddhav Thackeray, where he says that, let me tell you, where he says that Param Bir Singh was the one who inducted Sachin Vaze into the police department after 16 years of suspension. In fact, while the orders to reinstate Vaze as the Crime Intelligence Unit was issued by Joint Commissioner of Crime Milind Barambe, the officer had strictly opposed this move. In fact, it was only after Param Bir Singh's insistence that Vaze, I'm reading out the document here, the investigative, in fact, after the investigation, this letter was, or the document, investigative report was given to Uddhav Thackeray, and in this report, Hemant, who is currently the top cop of Mumbai, it's his internal investigation, he says very clearly that Param Bir was the man who insisted that Sachin Vaze must be brought back into the police department. In fact, he highlights that it was Param Bir Singh's insistence that Vaze was made the CIU chief despite Barambe's opposition. The report also highlights that Param Bir also made way for Vaze, who was a junior cop, and shunned away 2 senior cops only to give him that post. In fact, the report also further reviewed Vaze's role in the crime branch, where it noted how Vaze didn't report to anyone else except for Param Bir Singh. So this investigative report, internal investigation, says very clearly that Sachin Vaze was reporting to Param Bir Singh only, and it was Param Bir Singh who pushed hard for Sachin Vaze to be inducted into the police department despite his suspension of 16 years. Alright, so right now we know that Param Bir Singh is also being grilled. He was in fact summoned by the NIA today, and he was questioned for about 3.5 hours in the Antilia bomb scare case, and of course related to Sachin Vaze. Apart from that, we're looking at another high profile former Mumbai encounter specialist who the NIA is now probing, and his role in the Mansukh Hiren murder case as well. The NIA has grilled this former cop, encounter specialist called Pradeep Sharma. In fact, the former boss of arrested cop Sachin Vaze, Pradeep Sharma is the former boss of Sachin Vaze. He was questioned by the NIA after, in fact, his name came up as mobile phone from which the last call was made to Mansukh Hiren was traced to Andheri East, and this is where Pradeep Sharma stays. He stays in Andheri East. Somehow appears that this call, the number that came from this, the call that came from this number, it was switched off from at Andheri East, and Pradeep stays in Andheri East. And apart from that, there are also other links here that NIA is looking. In fact, Pradeep Sharma is not just an encounter specialist, he's also a Shiv Sena member. He joined the Shiv Sena in 2019 after quitting the police department. He contested and lost assembly elections in 2019 from Vasai Virar seat for the Shiv Sena. He's now, in fact, Pradeep Sharma's also last posting was in Thane as an anti-extortion cell, at the anti-extortion cell with Param Bir Singh as the commissioner at that time. And also he was Sachin Vaze's boss at the Crime Intelligence Unit in the late 90s. So somehow or the other, Pradeep Sharma's name has come up here, and Pradeep seems to be quite linked to Sachin Vaze and Param Bir Singh. He's also now being investigated by the NIA. So it's only getting dirtier, murkier, with a lot more allegations coming to fore. A lot of answers for the Maharashtra government to give right now. Let me quickly cut across West Bengal. Poll stage heating up. We're looking at Amit Shah now fiercely campaigning in the poll ground. We're looking at Amit Shah currently, his campaign in Domjur, where we're looking at his big outreach to the poor. In fact, it was interesting to see Amit Shah having lunch with a family of a rickshaw puller. He's also sat down, ate lunch, mingled with them, spent time with them. In fact, he also interacted with the family of the rickshaw puller there. So it was some interesting scenes there to see Amit Shah getting down to grassroots and mingling with the people there. We're looking at Home Minister Amit Shah also carrying out a massive roadshow in Howrah. Massive crowds also attended that roadshow. He was also earlier today in Singur. In Singur, India Today spoke to him. He said that there's a lot of talk about BJP attacking Mamta personally in time and again. He says that this is not a personal attack. This is only an attack. This is only attacking Mamta Banerjee's leadership over the last 10 years. And if at all, what the question is that what has Mamta done in the last 10 years? So there's really nothing personal beyond that, and Mamta should not take it personally at all. That's what he says. Now, in the meanwhile, we're looking at that slogan that Prime Minister Modi always makes, every time he speaks about Mamata Banerjee, he says, Didi, oh Didi. So that hasn't gone down too well with the TMC. Mamata Banerjee gets so irritated with that, with the way Prime Minister Modi calls her Didi, oh Didi, every time he refers to that. So Didi constantly says this is a personal jibe, personal attack. So now to counter that, the BJP has now come out with a new video, released a new video saying, now this is titled as Okay Didi Bye. And this video, which is about 2 minutes long, it has been tweeted by BJP's General Secretary Kailash Vijayvargiya. The BJP is now maintaining that calling Mamata Banerjee Didi or Didi is not a personal insult, but now that she doesn't like it, we'll say okay Didi bye. So that's what the BJP says. Mamata Banerjee, of course, does not take it too well. Even today she hit back saying that Saffron Party only knows how to tease and are acting like frogs. Alright, so this is the kind of back and forth between the TMC and the BJP. It's quite fun at the same time. Sometimes it gets quite dirty, but it's going to be very interesting to see how this pans out, because BJP in the last assembly polls got 3 seats. This time it seems like they have, at least visibly, seemingly they have that kind of strength and the might on ground through their rallies and whatnot. But will that convert to votes? That remains to be seen. If not for anything, they're definitely making inroads, and that's for sure. That's what's visible on ground as well. Now, let me take you through some controversy there in Andhra Pradesh. Political temperatures, they're soaring up as the Tirupati Lok Sabha constituency there. We're looking at polls in the Tirupati Lok Sabha constituency. TDP General Secretary and MLC Nara Lokesh taking a jibe at the Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy, claiming that he is meowing for the attention of the Prime Minister. Here's what Nara Lokesh says, and Nara Lokesh is basically the son of ex-Chief Minister of Andhra, Chandrababu Naidu. So Nara Lokesh says that Jagan Mohan Reddy is constantly trying to catch the attention of Prime Minister Modi. The TDP leader did not stop there. He's also gone on to say that YSRCP's MPs are behaving like pet cats of Narendra Modi. Basically, he says that they're like, cozying up to Narendra Modi just to sort of get the perks of being of siding with the central government, while their ideology is completely different. So he says, Nara Lokesh says that Jagan and his party MPs are scared of Modi, and that is why they support every bill that's tabled by the parliament, by the BJP government. In the parliament, by the BJP government, all those bills, YSRCP supports them only because they're scared of Narendra Modi, and therefore they're cozying up to Narendra Modi. So remember, right now Tirupati is going to by-polls, which is next week, and there seems to be direct contest there between YSRCP and TDP. Quick note here, we're looking at Tamil Nadu polls again, which has just completed. Now when the dust is settling, we're looking at the Election Commission sending out a notice to Udayanidhi Stalin, son of MK Stalin, who's also contested polls. In fact, DMK sign, Udayanidhi Stalin had hit out at the BJP, claiming that Sushma Swaraj and Arun Jaitley passed away because of mounting pressure and torture by Prime Minister Modi. So this didn't go too well with the kin of Arun Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj. The children of both the leaders lashed out at Udayanidhi, and now the Election Commission has taken note, issued a notice to the DMK leader and asked for an apology. He's been given time till this evening. He's got to apologize. If not, strict action will be taken against him. Now, what kind of action will be taken, not too sure, but the BJP, of course, calling this absolutely slanderous remarks and very personal and very distasteful. And here is Election Commission also taking note. So what kind of punishment he'll get if he doesn't apologize remains to be seen. On a final note, a quick word on Shruti Hassan, Kamal Hassan's daughter. She was with Kamal Hassan entering some of the poll booths, which is not allowed for any candidate or the candidate's family members. So Shruti Hassan violated the poll code of conduct, according to the BJP leader. In fact, who is the lady who's actually fighting on a BJP ticket, fighting Kamal Hassan in South Coimbatore, Vanati Srinivasan, she has filed a complaint with the Election Commission asking for action, strict action against Shruti Hassan for entering some of the poll booths accompanying her father Kamal Hassan, which is strictly illegal and out of line. So now we've got to see if the Election Commission will act on Shruti Hassan as well. On that note, I'd like to wrap here, but request you, please remember to wear your mask, because that's the only social vaccine, the first line of defense that you can really observe. Thank you.